If you were president of the United States for just 24 hours and no one could stop you, what's the most unhinged executive order you'd pass?
The question asks for unhinged, and all of these responses are the most sane and reasonable I've ever heard.
I'm not allowed to say what mine is, lol.
Is it the kind of thing that would get the attention of the FBI or Secret Service? Because mine would.
Me either, but here goes. Hunger Games, Billionaire Edition. Just the actual billionaires, not their kids or families.
Politicians have to wear jackets with their sponsors on it, basically like NASCAR drivers.
That's a good one. A series of disclaimers before every speech or rally they make. This speech was brought to you by IPAC and Pfizer.
Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
I would change the faces on money to dinosaurs.
This is the unhingedness I came for. Love it. Which one would you put on the $100 bill?
Pachycephalosaurus.
I would think that small dinosaur would be a small bill and large dinosaur would be a big bill. I just googled largest dinosaur and it showed titanosaurs. So maybe that should go on the $100.
Release the Epstein files and everything else associated publicly.
After seeing Diddy's case, I don't think any of them will face jail time.
I love how quiet Republicans are about this now. I really wish Dems would start fighting fire with fire. They should be screaming about the Epstein files every day.
Why bother? Nothing will happen.
Minimum standards for nose hair grooming.
Might as well throw your hair in there too.
Definitely a good idea. I did contemplate eyebrows as well. Those overgrown monstrosities that look like giant hairy caterpillars perched over some old men's eyes are a very disturbing thing.
That's less dramatic than the wings some ladies call eyelashes.
I presume the long talons they tend to pair them with are to provide enough grip to counteract the uplift they experience from any passing breeze.
Those people are akin to yesterday's velociraptors.
So you're targeting hippies now? Hippies?
The United States is as follows: West Coast, East Coast, the South, and the farm. I will not be taking questions.
As part of the farm, I like this.
Tax the rich, enforced.
Eat the rich, enforced.
I think countries like Soviet Union, Venezuela, and Cuba already tried that.
Don't think it is unhinged, but I would require companies to invest a certain percentage of their profits back into salaries or benefits and cap the percentage difference between what the lowest paid employees make and the highest.
A CEO can make no more than 10x the salary of the lowest paid employee.
So you can pay the CEO $1 million, but the janitors will be paid $100,000.
My first executive order is that no TV commercials or programs can have ringing doorbell. Also, no radio commercials can have a car horn, straight to Jitmo for either offence.
Add no sirens on their end in music. Do you know how many times a siren comes on the radio? And I look in the rearview. Talk about heart attack. The dogs are the reason for the TV. Mine will just start howling like crazy.
Commercials must be the same volume as the rest of the show as well.
Infotainment is banned. News has to be news only.
Yeah, bring back the fairness doctrine. Fox News is a cancer on society. They actively peddle bigotry and misinformation.
I would miss the Colbert monologues, but that's a price I am willing to pay to lose Fox, Newsmax, and OAN. Adding to your EO, anything that is stated in the news has to be backed up with fact. If it's challenged and found that you're lying and presenting it as news, truth, you are suspended.
And ban that ridiculous both sides BS that also for entertainment. There's no reason to place a climate change denier on an equal platform with a climate scientist.
Ban the name Cody.
As a Cody. Respectfully.
I named my son after my best friend that lost his life in 8th grade. I'll let you guess their name.
Hey, you respectfully.
I would deal with the godforsaken, overly bright, poorly aimed headlights on cars finally.
Age limit on all politicians. Replace ICE uniforms with BDSM attire and cut their funding by 50%. The other 50 goes to national parks.
If we're putting ICE in BDSM uniforms, might as well cut the budget by 69%. That means national parks get even more money.
Remove religious tax exemption.
I don't agree with that one as a blanket statement because there are actually legitimate churches doing legitimate work. Now, if you wanted to say that you wanted to alter the religious tax exemption so that the churches receive tax cuts that have limits and are based on showing receipts for specific nonprofit related line items, like the operating expenses for running a daycare for lower income families, I'm okay with that because that would allow legitimate churches to actually receive a tax exemption, while mega churches that are into making profit would still get screwed.
Why should churches etc. get a dime that nonprofits etc. don't get?
They don't.
Every kind of nonprofit, NGO, etc. pays taxes. Religious institutions do not, no matter how many billions of dollars of real estate they have in their portfolio.
What type of taxes are you referring to?
Does it matter? Religious groups pay none.
Ban people calling their private home a church so they can get out of paying property taxes.
Bring back the guillotine and get to work.
Yep, that turned out great last time someone tried that. 5,000 people dead. A neurotic military man rises to power and invades half of Europe.
Everybody adopts a kitten, at least one per household. You can come back for seconds after everybody has fulfilled their kitten quota, but everybody gets at least one. Those with allergies can apply for special puppy dispensation. Also, Taco Tuesday is enforced.
Had me in the first half. Even Allegra isn't enough.
Some edgy teenager that plays with knives, has mental health issues, watches gore and contemplates hurting animals just got a giant shit-eating grin.
Mine was going to be free pizza for everyone on Mondays. If we combine ours, that would be pretty awesome.
I'd build a huge vault and fill it with all the useless pennies and swim in them like Scrooge McDuck.
Fix daylight savings.
My unhinged executive order would be not to fix it, but instead make it mandatory that everyone learn that it is not daylight savings, but instead, in fact, daylight saving. I would use my power to tell people there has never been an S, nor a S, on saving.
What's the first letter, then? S.
Just abolish it!
Unfortunately, not that easy. You're either going to have kids going to school and starting the day in the dark in the northwest sector of every time zone Bozeman sunrise would be a M in winter, or you're going to take away an hour of that extra summer evening daylight in the southeast sector. Of every time zone, Dothan AL sunset would have been 6:49 p.m. today. Sometimes compromise is good, even if it's inconvenient.
These are unhinged ideas. We do not need practical talk here.
Mate, they're going to school in the dark midwinter anyway. They're fine.
Some 1920s style trust busting. These companies are all a horrible hydra, eating itself, and it's long past Sue to stab the heart and have businesses be individual companies again.
I'd definitely do that. But not before quoting that one line from Batman, Year One.
For those not in the know, ladies, gentlemen, you have eaten well. You've eaten Gotham's wealth. Its spirit. Your feast is nearly over. From this moment on, none of you are safe.
Every 100 years, or as needed, every company above a certain size gets broken up into smaller companies. For something like a Facebook where they appeared suddenly and just buy stuff. You get trust busted immediately after a certain point. WhatsApp and Instagram go back to being their own companies.
Shut up and take my f***ing karma. This is a great idea.
No politicians or their immediate families are allowed to own stock.
This works in essence, but they can still invest in a managed fund, or their trust can do it for them.
Yeah, make that illegal too. No loopholes. Period. You make policy that affects the stock market, you are completely and utterly cut off from the stock market.
Hey, cousin, let's go bowling. Some politician probably.
Age limit on all politicians.
Or at least mental health tests.
All elections for any government position will henceforth be a ranked choice vote.
Actually reasonable. If you want to make it unhinged, make it a ranked battle system, in which you get to pick the battle rules. I'd like to institute a melee and see them duke it out. Till I reveal at the end that the real winner is the arbitrary number one to have fallen.
For unhingedness, I would add a provision that any politician running needs to walk over 10 foot of Lego or glass before they can run. So only the worthy can be elected.
To be decided by Fortnite Battle Royale. First gets presidency, second vice president, and so on. Anyone caught with cheats gets treason charges.
Switch to metric. They'll be talking about it for decades or centuries.
Specifically, start by allowing us labels to be metric only right now. You have to do a label, then make metric the preferred or most prominently displayed unit like the EU after a transition period. Have the NUWs report out Celsius, eventually degree C only. Then there's road signs.
My dad went to engineering school in the late 60s. He told me that even back then there was a push in the engineering world to shift the US to the metric system. Guess that didn't exactly work out.
D. Settle for the British solution, asterisk distances in miles because they are frankly better, but all weights etc. in metric.
First really unhinged one. That would really cause some chaos.
We'd become an anarcho-syndicalist commune. We'd take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special biweekly meeting. By a simple majority in the case of purely internal affairs, but by a 2/3 majority in the case of more.
Help, I'm being repressed. Come see the violence inherent in the system.
Be quiet. I order you to be quiet.
You are fooling yourself. We are living in a dictatorship.
Be quiet.
Not for a week? A day? At least then it explains the 24 hours thing.
With the personalities of Americans, this would never work.
Quiet.
I'd ban pre-shredded cheese. I want to make America great again. Okay, reality. No matter what the position, any and all elected positions will have term limits, and I'll include SCOTUS on this.
Shooting from the hip with my first thought. I'd eliminate all guilt tipping, i.e. tipping not in a food delivery serving, or otherwise normal practice.
Just eliminate tipping completely.
I'm not opposed to that, but guilt tipping is a whole different ridiculous ballgame. Tipping is annoying as it is, but the 10 to 25% tipping screen for the most trivial, you didn't even do anything matters is genuinely absurd.
I like tipping when the situation deems itself worthy of tipping.
Me too, but making it factor into the remuneration of the worker is nonsense.
Why unhinged? We have that now.
Exactly. The bar is already so low.
Make organ donation an opt-out system in the U.S. instead of an opt-on, as it is now, would immediately end the 15 preventable deaths occurring every day.
And everyone who has opted out for non-medical reasons gets put to the bottom of the priorities list when they need one.
From this day on, the official language of the U.S. will be Swedish. In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside, so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
I was going to post this, but you beat me to it.
Love bananas. Woody Allen's old comedies were really good.
This one made me snore.
Chick-fil-A open on Sunday.
Now that's some wacky
But are they wrong?
All public bathrooms must have full floor-to-ceiling stalls with no gaps in between the doors.
No more student loans.
Free education as long as you can qualify academically, and what you are training for is a field where more people are needed. Medical and nursing school can be free, but don't expect us to pay for a BA in underwater basket weaving. That said, I do think artists are needed, but again, qualifying ... Give us a reason to fund your education.
Can you create new holidays, like No Spoon Day, where the use of spoons are outlawed just to piss people off?
I vote for you. This is the kind of unhinged we need. December 13th.
Free pancakes. Could I persuade you to include French toast and waffles in that, EO?
You got my vote as long as they have crispy edges, lol.
Gluten-free too. All you can eat.
I will pay whatever you ask to add blueberries, as long as the pancakes are free. And a side of sausage links. Please and thank you.